We're ready to roll week 15, and I got to tell you, people, it's so exciting. It's the holidays. It's time for celebrating for some of us. The man to my right, this man is playing injured. This man is leading the holiday charge. Boomer, how are you? 2 hours of sleep.
You know, Mike, I'm doing great, man. And you know what? Welcome to the studio. What do you think of the decorations in here?
It's beautiful.
I
honestly.
mean, it's really nice,
Yeah,
isn't it?
I dig it.
It's a festive feel, and I'm a big Christmas guy. I'm a big holiday party guy. We here at the station had a holiday party this week. It was in the cafeteria. I did not want to go to that party, so I created my own party and took our staff out, and we had an absolutely great time. So I don't consider this playing hurt. I consider this playing through whatever I'm dealing with.
Listen,
And that's just the way it's going to be.
Empty gas tank, full spirit. You can't lose. Let's get to the rundown, shall we?
This is the NFL Rundown.
All right, we begin as we always do, a little Thursday night action, and the game was very good for one team. Can we talk Brock Purdy? Diagnosed now. He's not Mr. Irrelevant anymore. He's making plays. They're scheming it up for him. What do you see with Purdy and the Niners?
What I love is what Kyle Shanahan's doing with Brock Purdy and how he's designing plays, the plays that he's calling, a lot of safe throws. There were guys running wide open against Seattle. But, you know, this kid who played 4 years at Iowa State. Reminded me of when Phillip Rivers came out of NC State. He played like 50 games in college, and he got seasoned, so he was ready to go. I'm really impressed by him. I think it's a terrific story, and he's got the right coach, and he's certainly on the right team. That defense assaulted Geno Smith last night.
I think the biggest thing, too, and people, they don't recognize it. It's not just when you talk about Bosa or some of the stars. They run 8 deep up front. D'Amico Ryans will rotate them all. Reminds me, in better days, of what the Giants used to do when we were actually good. Running 8 D linemen at you, and they just kill everybody.
Yeah, I just think that they're the one team that if they have to go on the road in the playoffs, and let's say have to go to Philadelphia in an NFC Championship game, that defense is good enough to win the game, and Kyle Shanahan protecting his rookie quarterback will get him open throws.
And about 17 ball fakes over here, over here.
So I think it really comes down to coaching, and it doesn't look like they've lost a beat, and that's the good thing, and that's why I still think they're my favorite to be able to try to beat Philadelphia on the road in the playoffs.
All right, let's go to Seattle because I kind of feel like we're looking at West Coast Giants here. It's been a fun story, Cinderella story. Tyler Lockett may miss the rest of the year. Is Seattle out of gas? Are they done?
Well, the story for Geno has been a great story. He'll get a new contract. I don't know how big it will be. Maybe it's not going to be as big as maybe they thought it would have been. Halfway through the season, their defense is terrible. They had no pass rush whatsoever. So we're sitting here talking about Kyle Shanahan and how he coached this game and how he protected his young quarterback. Well, he did it because there was no pass rush on the other side, which is surprising to me because, I played for Pete Carroll, and I know that he's always about defense. And watching that defense, it doesn't feel like it's a Pete Carroll team right now.
But it's, you know what it is, Boomer, I think I don't think you and I do because we're jaded and we're cynical humans, but like you fall in love with the Cinderella, this idea of, okay, team A is good. You got to remember, and I'm not saying it to you, I'm saying to fans, like, this is a rebuild. It's happening on the fly. It's not a finished product. Like,
and they're winning.
Right. So you get seduced into thinking it's all right. No, it takes time. That's going to be the next phase. You're going to see them. They're going to go out and revamp that entire front.
Well, there's about 5 teams like that in the NFC. Your Giants being one of them. They're winning while rebuilding and trying to evaluate players and trying to figure out what the future is going to be. The Washington Commanders are rebuilding, and they're going to get Chase Young back, I believe, this week.
This time, it's for real.
I feel like it's for real. But, these are teams that are winning while they're rebuilding.
Yeah.
Which is good for the fan base and good for the league because it keeps all of us involved and really, every one of these teams still has a chance to get to the playoffs.
All right. The show has adopted a team. We got to talk about this. Now, Boomer and I circled the wagons last week, and we took the Lions, and they delivered. I have to ask you now. They're 1-6 into 6-7. They come to New York this week. The game is essentially a pick 'em against the Jets. Boomer, when you look at the schedule, it is at the Jets, at Carolina, home against the Bears, at Green Bay. Boomer, do they actually do this and get in?
I think in order to do this, they have to win this week. They cannot lose to the Jets. and the Jets are going to be a tough out for them. This is going to be a really tough game for them this Sunday. It's going to be cold. Jared Goff outside versus Jared Goff inside.
Small hands.
They do run the ball effectively. They have one of the best offensive lines in football, and we'll get to that game a little bit later on. I'm actually kind of rooting for Dan Campbell. I really am. I mean,
So you're coach of the year?
No. I think that's probably going to go to Nick Sirianni or Kyle Shanahan. As a matter of fact, if you would have asked me 6 weeks ago, I would have told you Brian Daboll, because he had his team winning in spite of all the holes that they have on their roster. So this Lion team is fascinating to me. The coach is fascinating to me. I just think 3 out of their last 4 on the road, Mike, that usually doesn't bode well for a team trying to make a run to the playoffs.
No. 3-1 might get them in. 9 might get you in. If they win all 4, they are in. I'm convinced of it.
Oh, yeah, 10 will definitely. I believe 10 will definitely get you in, because Washington and the Giants, who are in right now as we speak, they play each other as long as they don't tie again.
Oh, God. I can't watch another 60 minutes of that.
Have we ever had this? I don't think it's ever happened.
A double tie?
A double tie in this league.
Have you ever had a team play a team, then a bye week, to then return and play the same team?
So that's why maybe we could get a tie this week. Another
Great.
tie.
All right. So I got to. God help me. It's funny. 6 weeks ago, he's ready to give Dayball the Coach of the Year award. Now you just hand Dayball a trumpet as the Titanic's going down.
I feel bad for him. He hasn't lost any of his coaching ability or anything. I just feel bad for him because they have been so beat up. Their secondary is such a disaster. And who is Daniel Jones really playing with?
No one. And it's why I'm bringing Daniel Jones back. I don't even think it's a fair evaluation at this point. I think you just give the kid an offseason, get him some weapons, we try it again.
You know what? If you evaluated Daniel Jones on his play this year, I would say he has toughed it out.
Yeah.
He is their one weapon, both running the ball and throwing the ball.
He's it.
He is it.
And now Saquon's dinged up, which this is why I don't want to pay a running back.
We always talk about that. Now Saquon's saying that hasn't felt this good in the last 5 weeks going into this game against Commanders. That's what he said. I didn't say it. He said it.
I know. I'm emotional right now. All right. Can we talk Tua for a minute?
Sure.
I don't want to be slanderous. I like Tua. I am Team Tua. What the hell did I watch last week where he started a football game like Ryan Leaf is a rookie against the Chiefs? 5 of 21 to start a game?
Yeah, he was off, man.
What was that?
I think he got something happened to him in San Francisco. I mean, I don't know what it was. I mean, that defense assaulted him. They spent the week out there in California. They play the Chargers, and all of a sudden he comes out, and it looks like this is his first game in the NFL.
Right. His bad is exceptionally bad, and it's what I worry about with the Dolphins.
I was just alarmed by the inaccuracy.
It was because that's his calling card.
His calling card is accuracy, exactly, and he was throwing the ball over people's heads, behind people, and that's not who he has been this year. That's his first off game, I would say, that I would put on him, because the Charger defense is not that great, not like the San Francisco defense that he played the week before. I would just say that. They got to get home. They got to get home again. They're going to get blasted this week in Buffalo Saturday night, I believe. And it's not going to be an easy game for them. That's why they got to get back, and they got to get back in their friendly confines of their stadium down there in Miami, and then maybe make the push to 10 wins that way.
I'm a little worried about them. I can't help it. I'm a little concerned. It's a great story. I think McDaniel is he's not like Dan Campbell, but he's interesting like Dan Campbell. Well, they're fun. I don't know what I'm doing with that team.
It's interesting because now the Patriots, they win a game. The Cardinals were not ready for them, especially when Kyler Murray went out. They are now in the mix again. They're going to see each other again. It's a weird season, but I still think they're going to sneak in. I really feel like the Miami Dolphins still have what it takes offensively to get in. I just don't think they're going to play well this Saturday night.
Cowboys. I know you and I both have said, look, we like them. We don't love them. They've got the talent to be a Super Bowl team. Last week, they looked like they went to their Christmas party all week. Because I don't know what the hell that was. They needed a 98-yard drive to save their skin against the Texans. What is there a concern here with the Cowboys at all?
You know what? I got to tell you, Mike, both you and I took the Cowboys last week, and
I was afraid,
we
Boomer.
gave the 17 points. We're nuts. You know what? I just say you never take anything for granted, and the fact that Dak Prescott orchestrated that 98-yard drive when he had to have it to win the game, and I don't care who you're playing against, Now, if you want to talk to me about the play that Houston ran on 4th down, we could talk about that
Go ahead,
until
please.
the cows come home, because I have
Please.
no idea what
Help
they were
me.
doing. But that's why they have one win.
And they're playing 17 quarterbacks. They're grabbing the guy, roasting the almonds on the stands.
I do give them credit for fighting.
they're
fighting.
trying.
They're playing for Lovie Smith, but they just, again, it's a roster devoid of a lot of talent. So I don't know. The Cowboys are a real deal team. They are a real deal team. There's no question in my mind. They're on the road this week at Jacksonville. I don't know if this is a look-ahead game or a look-past game, because they got Philadelphia next week. But I just think that they are a real deal team, that they will be a menace in the playoffs.
This is also in the what category. Bucks down 35-0?
Their asses kicked, man.
What? Boomer, what? Help. Just help me understand what the hell I watched.
It's called the San Francisco defense.
Oh,
And, so Tom Brady looked to me just like Tua looked the week before. So when you play the San Francisco defense in the way that Geno Smith looked on Thursday night, when you play that defense, they come at you in waves. You know you're going to get hit. You know you're going to get sacked, and you end up playing the game fast, or too fast even. I remember, you remember Kerry Collins when he was playing for the Giants? They played the Ravens in the Super Bowl.
Oh, what a blessing.
Yeah. I remember calling that game as an announcer and as an analyst, saying that Kerry was playing the game way too fast.
Oh, actually, he just threw another interception.
Well, it's just that he's playing it fast because he knew he was playing against one of the great defenses of all time, and he was in the back of his mind thinking, I got to get rid of the ball or I'm going to get hit. And I don't want to get hit over and over and over again. And that's kind of like what the San Francisco defense has been doing to quarterbacks the last 3 weeks.
Not that anybody cares, but fun note, since you were calling the game that night. I drove home from college to surprise my dad and watch the game with him. I left on a Friday night. I got home. I'm pretty sure I was in the car at the start of the fourth quarter to drive back to Michigan.
Oh, you were. I know. It was not pretty.
That was
not
horrendous.
pretty. But again, I've been in that situation. I remember playing the 85 Bears.
Oh, God.
And they blasted us like 44-10. And I remember we played in Cincinnati. It was hotter than hell. And that defense was coming after me. And I was just playing so fast. I was just totally off my game. And we got blasted.
What are we doing with the Titans now? Speaking of getting blasted, couple games in a row, and that Jacksonville game, remember, they started well, and they just got run. What are we doing with the Titans here?
All right, so the Titans, had an offense coordinator pulled over for driving under the influence. You had the GM fired. You've had the A.J. Brown situation, came back to bite them in the ass as they lost to Philadelphia 2 weeks ago. There's a lot of issues going on down there. The franchise is in a weird spot. The Jacksonville Jaguars, if they can beat the Cowboys this week, just like if the Lions can beat the Jets this week,
6-8,
have a good chance of taking over that AFC South because they have to play each other.
Are you baiting me into taking the Jags? Because you don't need to. I'm already there.
There you go. I like it. But I'm just telling you, the Titans they're in a world of hurt and trouble. Even if they make the playoffs, they're going to be a one and done, just like they were last year.
I want to ask about Odell Beckham Jr., not because I want to, because I need to. Is there anyone more self-indulgent and self-important? He now may not sign and, quote, wants to be the jewel of the free agent class in the spring. Boomer, what jewel? He's a cubic zirconia. Who are we kidding?
He wants a $20 million a year contract. He thinks that he's still at the level. I'm just saying what he thinks.
Who's given that to him?
I don't know. I know the Bills basically have said that, he is not off the table as of right now. He can't play this year. Maybe he could play for the playoffs if you really push for it. I don't think anybody's going to do that. But nobody is going to give him the contract that he thinks he deserves.
But this is the issue I take. He showed he could drop in and be a member of a team and help a team win. He is never going to be the guy you can commit to long term because he can't help himself. This is where I laugh. Like, who's giving him advice?
Well, he's usually giving himself the advice.
There
and that's
we
the
go.
Problem. Yes. I would also say this, that somebody next year may take a 2-year flyer on him, and somebody who has a young quarterback that feels like they need a wide receiver to add it to their arsenal to try to help that young quarterback grow. You never know who will take a chance on him next year.
Last 1 minute or less. I just need your take. Kyler Murray out for the year now. ACL. We've talked about Arizona being a disaster. They are. Has he played his last game as a Cardinal, or do you believe he flexes, gets Cliff fired, and they move forward?
I hope he doesn't get Cliff fired. If Cliff gets fired, he gets fired because, somebody in the building doesn't believe in him anymore. And also remember, Steve Keim, their GM, just left for personal reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So there's other things that are probably going on in that building that we don't know about. It is chaos. And the Bidwell family, Michael Bidwell, the owner, is going to have to do something about it to get it rectified and get it straightened out and get their fan base back interested in their team.
Can you imagine? They started last year 10-2, and you've arrived at this point. The GM is gone now for personal reasons. The coach is likely fired. Your quarterback's dead. Yikes.
And your quarterback won't be playing next year.
And there we go. All right. Warrior people. Warrior. The engines are warm now. Now we're going to get to the picks. Buckle up. It's going to get disgusting. These are wheelhouse games for me. We got a lot left to do. It's Kickoff with Boomer and Valenti coming up next. We are back. And I'm telling you, the best thing about last week's picks is they weren't a complete disaster. That was a brutal slate. We were basically 500. 5-7 for me, 6-6 for Booms. We're dominating the season, both well over 500. So, with that, I don't like this week's games. I love this week's games.
Okay.
We're about to get in real trouble here. Let's party. Let's go to the picks.
Picks of the week.
Boom, this card is filled with rat underdogs, which is just my wheelhouse. Let's begin.
Well, you're not a rat.
No, but this is how you have to play these games.
Oh,
You got to get in the muck.
Yeah, I'm still learning.
Vikings laying 4.5 to the Jeff Saturday-led Colts. What do you got?
I'm taking the Colts and the points on
Yes.
the road. And the reason I'm doing that is because I do believe the Colts will be able to run the ball. And, they're going to Nick Foles now. And so here's their third quarterback, and
God help us
is right. But he's a guy that will be competent.
Just don't turn it over 6 times in a row,
Exactly.
Matt.
So I think they'll run the ball effectively. I think they'll do a lot of play action, 7-man protections, and they'll be able to keep this game close. I don't think they win, but I do think they keep it within the number.
And again, you can make fun of Jeff Saturday. You could roll your eyes at him getting hired. The O-line is what they paid for since he's taken over. Brutally physical. Minnesota's defense in the last 5 weeks is the worst in football. They're horrific. I'm taking the Colts and the points. The 4.5, by the way, that's the new 3.5 because of all these coaches and their analytics.
Right.
40's the new 30.
Okay.
4.5 is the new 3.5. All right, game 2. My favorite game of the week. Cowboys laying 5 to America's Jags.
Hey, they are America's Jags, and I'm going to take the 5 points and the Jags. I think the Cowboys will win much like they did last week. I can't imagine them coming out and just going down there and blowing them out. And here's the thing that you should know. As a player, when the Cowboys were good and they play and they showed up to play you as a player on the other team wanted to win the game in the worst way.
It's the star in the helmet.
Right, exactly. So I think that's kind of where the young Jags are right now. And I think they're kind of surprising themselves. And maybe Doug Peterson is really starting to, have an impact on this team. And who knows the Cowboys better than Doug Peterson, because he was obviously with Andy Reid all those years in Philadelphia and, of course, the former Philadelphia head coach. So I'm going to take the Jags.
And by the way, outside of a bad afternoon in Detroit, if you take about the last 6 weeks of Trevor Lawrence, he's been outstanding. They've got a big win over the Ravens, including a big drive to do it. They got a big win over the Titans. This is a team that's starting to figure it out. I'm taking the Jags. I'm taking the points. I got to be honest, I'd take Trevor Lawrence over Dak.
Attaboy.
All right, so our next game, we have late breaking news here. So exciting. It's our first breaking news bulletin during a picks from the Scones Update Desk. This comes by way of Adam Schefter. Jets doctors are not going to clear Mike White for this weekend's game against the Lions.
I knew it.
How?
All week long on WFAN in New York, I've been talking about this is why they're moving Zach Wilson up to the number 2 spot, because he's going to be able to play against the Lions' terrible pass defense. And I thought this would be a perfect spot for that. And I just knew that Mike White was going to be here. I know from my own experiences what that injury feels like. He also may have an internal injury that we don't know about.
Well, and he went to the hospital to be examined for it.
Yes.
He took 2 brutal shots. I only refer to the one where he was put in a folding chair position by Ed Oliver.
I feel bad for him. I really do.
He wants to play, by the way.
He wants to play, and
Jets doctors are saying no.
God bless the Jets doctors. That's all I can tell you, because that's what they're supposed to be doing.
Now, what are we doing with this game, Bones?
I'm staying with the Jets.
No.
I am going to stay with the Jets. I am.
What more do you got to see from Zach Wilson to stop with the insanity?
If this were on the road at the Lions, I would pick the Lions. The fact that it's outside, it's cold, it's a different quarterback, and I know that Jared Goff and the Lions came here and they beat the Giants. I know that. It's just a different game. There's a much better defense, and I'm telling you right now, Zach Wilson, I don't know what kind of game he's going to have, but I think this is going to be like an in-your-face type of game for him.
All right, no Quinnen Williams, no Mike White. I know Boomer's probably right. I got to go with the Lions here. I have to. Zach Wilson stinks. I mean, stinks. All right, let's get to the next game, shall we? Saints laying 4.5 to Atlanta. Note, this is the Desmond Ridder debut, rookie out of Cincinnati. What do you got?
So I really like Desmond Ridder.
Do you?
I do. I really do. But I like the Saints defense a little bit more. That Saints defense is tough. It's a tough spot for a rookie quarterback. I don't necessarily know that the Falcons have all that much offense to speak of. And this is going to be what I think it's going to be. It's going to be a baptism under fire.
Yeah, it's a rookie debut on the road. Yeah. Mercedes-Benz Dome is also a hellhole as far as the fans are going to go nuts. They don't even care if the team's winless. I'm with you. I'll take the Saints.
Same.
Okay, hey, look, it's 14 points. Chiefs laying 14 to the Texans.
I'm not taking the Texans. I'm sorry. I just can't.
We're going to do this back-to-back weeks now.
I'm doing it. I don't care. I'm taking the Chiefs. And by the way, the Chiefs need to really ramp it up. And it's the game where they can ramp it up.
Yeah.
And they should get 2 of their wide receivers back. They should get McCole Hardman back and Kadarius Toney.
Oh, boy.
Yes.
Till Tony gets hurt walking down the tunnel. I'll take the Chiefs.
Okay.
No, I'm sour as a Giants fan. Tony had every opportunity with a new regime to be a hell of a good player and help this team, and instead he was busy with his rap career and maybe faking injuries.
Well, I don't know about faking injuries, but I do.
Maybe.
But I know that he wasn't taking care of himself the right way, and what you would expect from a pro who's dealing with a hamstring injury, you have to go to treatment. If you're not going to treatment, then you're violating team rules.
It's just a chef's kiss from Dave Gettleman. It's just, God almighty. All right, move along. I think this is the most difficult game of the week. Bengals laying 3.5 in Tampa.
Yeah, for me, it's not difficult at all because the Bengals are playing their best football just like they were last year at this time of year. This offensive line has now been together for every single game. They are all on the same page. They are totally healthy. I think that, Jamar Chase showed you last week how dominating a receiver he can be and how when he and Joe Burrow start slinging it around together, they go off. And I think they'll go off here, and I think they'll cover the number, and they'll walk away with a win.
I just get so worried. It's the 3.5. I feel like the number should be bigger. It's one team who's playing damn near perfect football and the other team that's arriving at the game in a clown car. And I'm like, are we walking into this? Is this where Brady, they just lose close or steal one?
So you know how Brock Purdy felt stepping on the field knowing that he was going against Tom Brady?
Yeah.
That's how Joe Burrow's going to feel.
Okay.
You know how when Joe Burrow gets on the field with Patrick Mahomes, he just ramps up his game. And I'm telling you, Joe Burrow is playing the position about as good as anybody in the NFL right now at this moment.
I'm going to take the Bengals. I swear to God, I feel like
you into it.
I feel like we are going over Niagara in a barrel together.
Into it. I love it.
By the way, did you see the clip of Brady screaming at everybody last week again? So I get it. I know it's his bit. That's enough, Tom. We get it. We're down 35-0. I know we suck. What are we doing?
This is where they miss Bruce Arians. I'm telling you.
Rein him in a little?
It looks like a Todd Bowles coach team. And who on offense is going to be screaming at anybody? Is Byron Leftwich going to be screaming at anybody? I don't think so. So Tom Brady is also kind of coaching and playing and doing everything and dealing with all the stuff off the field as well.
Browns laying 3 to the Ravens. You know what to do. Come on. Don't be scared. Take my strong hand.
You want me to take the Browns?
You have to.
I know I have to.
You know why?
Because I think Deshaun Watson's getting better each and every week. Yes.
This is the week Deshaun Watson puts it all together.
Well, you also have Tyra Huntley coming back as the backup quarterback, coming out of concussion. The Ravens are like one of these ugly teams.
They had no business winning, and I know I had the Steelers, and I'm bitter. They had no business winning that game.
Mitch
None.
Trubisky gave them the game.
I got to tell
you. The 3 interceptions were just unbelievable. I'm sitting there with Coach Cowher, and we both picked the Steelers last week. You and I did. And Coach Cowher was like, how is he not seeing the middle of the field? You have to know who is in the middle of the field if you're going to throw it down.
They're not just turnovers; they're red zone turnovers, and then
They're killers. They're killers.
I just can't with Mitch Trubisky. I don't ever want to see him again.
All right, but then we're going to take the Browns.
Yes.
And we're going to take Deshaun Watson.
Yes. We'll get to the Steelers in a minute.
Okay.
Here is one of the games I'm dead serious. I have no opinion, and I just hope both teams have fun. Bills laying 7.5 to the Dolphins.
I believe they're going to kill the Dolphins.
But the Bills don't cover big numbers.
I know that, but I don't like the Dolphin defense. The cold weather, the potential for snow. It's a Saturday night game. It's going to be crazy up there in Buffalo.
All right.
I've been in this environment, in this situation, and it is impossible to hear, to play. Everything is going against you as the road team, and that's why I think the Bills are going to blast them. I really do.
All right, I'm going to go with it. I lean that way. You know what it is? I lost with the Bills last week on a block punt safety. That's how they blew the cover.
Yes.
They don't cover these numbers. I'm waiting for the Bills we saw the first month where they were just assassinating teams. Maybe this is the spot. I'll go Bills.
And one thing I will say, even though they lost Von Miller, they're going to be okay on defense.
Yeah, Rousseau back, Ebenezer back.
Yeah, yes, and you saw the pressure that they were able to generate last week against an offensive line that's probably very similar to that of the Dolphin offensive line.
Eagles laying 9 to the Bears in Chicago. Yeah, exactly that.
So there was such a disparity in talent between the Eagles and the Giants, and I feel like that's the same case here. The only difference is that Justin Fields is a guy that can make about 4 or 5 plays a game that Daniel Jones is not going to make. And
look ahead spot.
Right, for the Eagles.
Cowboys
because they play the Cowboys
week.
next week. I'm going to take the Bears, and I'll take the points.
Yes. That's right where I want to be. Bears. Done.
Yeah, but so you kind of talked me into that, and I felt like I talked you into the Browns.
That's right. And we're gonna go 2-0.
Okay, I hope you're right.
Teamwork makes the dream work. Carolina laying 2.5 to the Steelers. This is a spite pick, so I'm warning you.
Do we know who's starting at quarterback for the Steelers?
As long as it's not Pickett, I'm taking the Panthers.
Well, here's the interesting thing. There have been some rumblings about the players in the locker room wanting Mason Rudolph to start if Pickett's not available.
You think?
Yeah, I do think. And
they should take Trubisky's key card. Don't allow him anywhere in that facility. Get out.
This is going to be a low-scoring game, folks, and I'm going to take the Steelers on the road. I'm going to take the points. I'm going to take the Steelers on the road, and it's going to be a low-scoring game. This is like a 20-17 game or 17-13 game, something like that.
20-17. Try 10-7.
Yes,
maybe
that. Yes.
I will say this, though, and I know we didn't get to it in the rundown. Carolina's playing so hard for Steve Wilkes. And I know Tepper came out and said basically, hey, unless you turn a magic trick, you're not getting the job.
He said he would have to do something extraordinary.
Well, you know what? This might not be extraordinary, but it's the next level down. I can't believe they're winning games, and they compete every week.
So the extraordinary would be if they catch the Bucs. That would be the extraordinary, and that would mean that they would have to win this game. The Bucs would have to lose their game to the Bengals, which quite possibly could happen.
Yeah, I'm taking Carolina. The next game is a football game that features 2 teams, and no one will watch. Denver laying 2.5 against the Cards. Go.
I'll take Denver just because of their defense and because Kyler Murray's not playing.
Done.
And pretty simple.
It. No more need be said.
Right.
Now this one. Chargers are now laying a flat 3 to the reeling Titans.
Yeah, I'm taking the Chargers here. And Brandon Staley, that's our guy. We love Brandon Staley. He's Mr. Analytics.
Yeah, Mr. Popular.
But, they got Mike Williams back, and you see what a difference that makes?
Well, absolutely. But here's my fear. They're the worst run defense on God's green earth, and it's the Titans. That's the only thing that gives me pause.
This is what I would think. I would think that the coaches in practice this week are like, everybody, eyes on Derrick Henry. That's who we have to stop.
And forget about everything else.
And forget everything else.
Tennessee's got the mailman starting at wideout. I'll take the Bolts. Pats are now an underdog. The Raiders are laying 1 at home.
Yeah, you know what? I think I am going.
You know what to do.
I'm going to take the Raiders.
My man.
And this is Josh McDaniels against his mentor, Bill Belichick. Derek Carr. I don't like the way the defense is playing. The amazing thing is what Vance Joseph, the defensive coordinator, said about the Patriots offense before their Monday night game.
He hit Patricia with a pie to the face.
He did. He said he's calling plays like he's a defensive coordinator. Now we know why Mac Jones is so frustrated. But, I don't necessarily know that they have all those great wide receivers. How many times is Nelson Aguilar going to drop a pass?
Once every 2 weeks.
Yeah. So I'm going to take the Raiders just because I think Derek Carr and Devontae Adams are virtually unstoppable.
I'm with you. And again, they had to sit with that loss for 10 days. I'm taking the Raiders. All right, last one. Boy, we know how to really save the best for last. Packers laying 7 to the Rams. Give this game about 30 seconds.
Yeah, I'm taking the Packers. I mean, Baker Mayfield in Lambeau Field, freezing cold. It makes it interesting, right? It's interesting.
How is this game not flexed to like the Ocho? What is this? This should be on after log roll.
Right. But come on, man.
All right.
For me, Baker Mayfield on a new team.
All right.
I know it's a great story the last game. They win it. I don't know how they win it.
Packers.
All
right. That was an emotional edition of the picks. Now, we got a lot left to do, including Boomer's forecast of the playoffs, best of the best, a lot to do. It's Kickoff with Boomer and Valenti. Don't make a move. More coming up next.
Now, back to Kickoff with Boomer Esiason and Mike Valenti.
All right, so we got a lot to do. Now, we don't have the props that Boomer had on CBS about a month ago when he did this, but I loved the segment. He ended up throwing a foam logo at Phil Simms' head. It was tremendous. We're going to bring it back because with about a month to go, we're going to preview some playoff stuff. But before we do that, I want to get to best of the best.
This week's best of the best of the best of the this week's best of the best.
This game's all about nostalgia, people. A young Mikey, Carl Banks, his favorite player. Commanders laying 4.5 against the G-men in an NFC East tilt. And then you recognize neither of these teams could crush a grape in a food fight offensively. Here we are. What are we doing with this?
Well, I'm expecting Chase Young to actually play in this game. I feel like I've been saying that for 3 weeks, and even said it last week during the bye week.
You're
and
like
they weren't
a speaking
playing.
spell. You've said this like 6 weeks in a row.
Yeah, and that makes their team completely,
correct,
whole on defense,
correct.
and their defense has been really good this year. They've given everybody fits, and the Giants, well, their team is doing it by smoke and mirrors.
They can't score, Boomer.
And as I said earlier to you on the show, I do respect Daniel Jones immensely for the way that he has played, the way that he's led his team. Well, it depends on the money. It depends on what they see.
What would you do? You're Joe Shane. Real quick. I know we don't want to go too deep in the weeds.
I would bring. I got to see what the alternatives are. So if there's really no alternatives other than, say, Jimmy Garoppolo or Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold or anybody like that, I'm staying with Daniel Jones if I can convince him a 2-year deal at a reasonable number.
What's reasonable in your mind?
I would say like 2 years between 18 to 22 million a year.
Okay.
But I don't, because he has to understand nobody else is probably out there going to want him.
No.
And I think that this offense suits him, and I think this coaching staff suits him.
And I think you can sell. Look, our offseason is dedicated to getting you help.
And, Joe Shane came from Buffalo, so they watched Brandon Beane build around Josh Allen.
Right.
And Josh Allen grew into that offense to the player that we see today. So I would like to think that's exactly what's going to happen there. So saying all of that, I'm going to take the Washington Commanders. I'm going to take the Giants with the points. I think the Commanders are going to win the game.
Oh, my.
But I'm going to take the Giants with the points. It's going to be a tight game. It's just like 20-17. You know that.
But here's the problem. All right, first things first. I'm separating fandom. So that's out the window. The number being 4.5, and I'm not, I see dead people. No, this is real. Like, these two teams tied. Why is that number just lobbed out there at 4.5? I think there's something to the Commanders playing the Giants bye week, and they get to play them again. I couldn't find an example of this ever. I have not heard of it. I haven't seen it. I tried to research it. I got nowhere. I think the Commanders know that they did not play anywhere near their best in that game. They're coming home. The Giants, to me, don't laugh. I think the Giants get worse every week. And for me, I think this is Trap City. I'm taking the Commanders. I think the Commanders beat the Giants and beat them by 10.
All right. So here's the thing about the Giants. They've had a long week here in New York, and they have just been berated by their fan base.
Well, people like you,
media all over them. I mean, they have to be embarrassed. And I've always hated playing a team that got hammered the week before.
That's fair.
And then was coming back within the division, and the playoffs are still riding on it. So that's why I think the game's going to be a low-scoring, tight game, and that's why I think the Giants will cover. I think, however, Washington wins.
Okay. All right. I want to do this. And you did a version of this on TV, I don't know, a little over a month ago.
Okay.
Outside of the unfortunate assault on Phil Simms' head with a foam Patriots logo.
Yes.
If the playoffs started today, so I'm going to give you The matchups now.
Yes.
You have the opportunity to do as you did on television. You can re-rank these, but I need you to pick winners.
Okay.
All hypothetical winners.
Okay.
So the Eagles are the 1 seed. They will remain the 1 seed. Agree?
Yes.
Okay. Vikings are the 2. They're hosting the number 7 seed Giants. If we started today, who would win that game?
Oh, that would be the Vikings.
Okay.
Vikings would blow them out.
But do the Giants stay the 7?
I don't think the Giants are going to make it.
So who's the 7?
The 7 is going to be.
Say the magic words.
You want me to say Detroit?
Just because I think Detroit would pop Minnesota because Minnesota's a collection of frauds.
And that would be a hell of a first-round playoff game.
Oh, yeah.
That would be a hell of a first-round playoff game, and that would make it better for all of us as fans and as analysts and people who like to pick these games. So I could see the Vikings versus the Lions and the Lions winning that game.
Okay.
And my morning partner, Greg Giannotti, just basically going off and taking a 3-month sabbatical. He's a Vikings fan.
Guys, I've seen every snap of both their matchups. The Vikings do not want any of the Lions' physicality. Any. Niners, the 3 seed, hosting the 6 seed Commanders.
I could see that. I could definitely see that. And I see the Niners winning that game.
And that would be a rock fight.
That would be a rock fight because of a healthy Chase Young.
Now, this one's interesting to me. Tampa's the 4. And I know it's assumed they win the division, but I have to ask. Tampa the 4, Dallas the 5.
Yeah, I can't see Carolina catching Tampa. I can't see it right now with these 4 games left. I think Tampa's going to hang on, and I think Dallas is going to go in there and beat the brakes off of them.
See, I'm with you on that. Like, I think Tampa will get in, and it's going to be the kind of deal where they almost regret getting in. Boomer, something with that defense. I know numbers and stats. Every time I watch that defense, I go, this is a top 5 unit?
I'm just telling you, they missed Bruce Arians. I'm telling you.
I don't disagree.
And I don't know why he stepped down. I don't know if he was forced to step down. I don't really know what the hell's going on.
Let me just go ahead and
be irresponsible. But that guy's a pain in the ass. That guy is a pain in the ass coach to everybody. And Todd Bowles is just not that personality.
Here's how I see it in my mind, and this is just my fantasy. Brady went to England, talked to the owner, gave the coach the ziggy, got back on the private plane, and this is what you're left with. He gets to coach everything.
Yeah.
That's my version. Let me dream.
You know what? Bruce Arians, at least publicly, looked like he was holding everybody accountable, including Tom Brady.
That's right. And Aaron's a pro. He's salty, but he's a pro, and he gets results.
That's why I think they're missing him.
All right, let's go to the AFC.
Okay.
Because I think the AFC is wild. So right now, your Bills are the 1 seed. Do they remain there?
I think the Bengals can get there.
Touchdown. Same deal.
Yeah.
No one's playing better.
And these 2 teams have to play each other. So, that we'll have a head-to-head matchup here in a couple of weeks, and we'll see exactly what goes on.
So do you want to elevate Bengals to the 1?
I want to elevate the Bengals to the 1 seed, and we will then drop the Bills probably down. They beat the Chiefs, so I'll give them the 2 seed over the Chiefs.
So let's go Bills, Patriots rematch.
Bills-Patriots rematch, that's a Bills victory.
Okay, now do the Patriots hang on to the 7 seed? That's a no.
If I have to, I picked the Raiders to beat them this week.
Okay, so let's go with it.
So they're
Bolts.
out. The Bolts are in.
Okay. Bills, Bolts.
Bills, Bolts at Buffalo. I love the Bills.
Okay. So then Chiefs slide to the 3.
Okay.
Chiefs, Dolphins.
Give me the Chiefs all day long.
Do the Dolphins hold the 6?
I don't believe they hold the 6.
So you think it's outright collapse?
I feel like if they get in, they're going to get the 7.
All right. So then 4-5 matchup, Titans Bengals.
Just like last year, but I had the Bengals as the number 1 seed.
You're right. I apologize. So then it would be Titans Ravens.
Yeah. So you got everybody confused out there, including
my
me.
bad. Hey, mistakes were made.
Hey, you want to know something? Titans Ravens. That's a rock fight. That's like a 17-13 game. I will take the Ravens because Lamar Jackson will be back by then.
All right, so let's do this. This is where we get to. I want you to go top of the AFC right here. Are we willing to at least say now it's a 3-team race, not a 2-team?
100%.
Okay.
100%. All 3 teams, the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Bengals, have a chance to get to the Super Bowl. I think one of those 3 teams will be the AFC representative.
So take those 3 and forget about records, forget about the seeding, because there's so much outside influence with that. Who was hurt and who played who went. Just take the 3 teams, rank the top 3 right now?
I would go Bengals, Bills, Chiefs is how I would do it.
Why the Chiefs 3?
Just simply because I don't think their defense is as good as the other two defenses. And I know that got Superman at quarterback, but he's missing Tyreek Hill. And this is where Tyreek Hill is missing in these games against these teams. That is obvious, the effect that it has on Patrick Mahomes and on their offense.
So then here's another question. Take those 3.
Yes.
Of the 3, which one is the home field most important to?
I think that would be the Bills.
Same here.
I think the Bills at home are going to be really difficult to beat in the playoffs. They're not losing an AFC championship game there if, in fact, they have the home field.
You know what's interesting, though, when you look at it? All 3 teams outdoors, all 3 teams brutally cold home field environments.
And all 3 teams potential Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
Well, that goes without saying.
Yeah.
All right. So
and great
then,
coaching, by the way.
Is there any team out there, AFC, this is the last question for you,
Okay.
AFC or NFC? We always see it. A 7-seed or a 6-seed gets hot. Of the non-elite teams we've talked about, who would you pick to make one of those runs?
Who would I? So it would have to be a 6 or a 7.
Okay.
Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah, pretty much.
Because if it was a 5, if I could put a 5 in there, I would say the Cowboys.
I'm not against it. I just have such a hard time seeing them go to Dallas right now.
I know that, but
go to Philly.
I know, but I would just say because they're a division foe, and
Okay.
there'll be a lot riding
Keep
on
it to the 6s and 7s.
6s and 7s. I don't, man. I don't see any of these. Maybe I would give it to the Chargers, just simply because of Justin Herbert, and every one of their games seems to be close.
What if the Lions did get in and did beat Minnesota the 2? Aren't all bets off at that point?
I think all bets are off, but it depending on where they would have to go the next week. I mean,
they played Philly
tough,
really tough.
I know that was early in the season too.
Yeah, Campbell lost his mind and did an onside kick with 6 minutes to go.
But I kind of love it, and he's making jokes during the week. I was watching a wave when we were doing this. I was watching that when we were doing that. I mean, he gets the game. He gets the game, and that's why I'm rooting for him. All right, I'll give you your Lions.
It's not my Lions. I'm a Giants fan. The
I
problem
know, but
is
you're
I'm
out
floating,
there in Detroit.
I'm floating on a board like Jack and Titanic. I got nothing left.
Wouldn't that be wonderful? But again, maybe they are getting a break this week by getting Zach Wilson as opposed to Mike White.
The thing, what's funny, and it always seems like this happens, Booms, there's always a team that you feel like if they got in, they would do damage, but they don't get in. And somebody the team that does get in gets slaughtered. I feel like every year in the NFL, there's always one team where I'm like, man, if they could just get in.
Well, your Giants did that twice.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Yep.
And the first time they did it incredibly on the road,
at
3
Tampa,
games.
At Dallas, at Green Bay, which I was at,
was
minus
freezing.
33 on a Saturday night. Brutal. No, you're right. It happens.
It does happen, but I think the good teams this year, unless crazy injuries happen,
Yep.
Are going to be very difficult to beat. Like the Eagles are going to be difficult to beat. San Francisco is going to be difficult to beat. And any one of those 3 AFC teams are going to be difficult to beat by a team that's 5, 6, or 7.
All right, let's get to Boomer's final word.
What you say after this don't matter. This is the final word.
Guys, the NFL is a weird place, man, and you just never know when your opportunity is going to present itself again. So this week, here it is. It's Zach Wilson's opportunity.
Oh, this again.
It is. I'm telling you, the NFL is a weird place. You just never know when injuries are going to happen. And unfortunately for Mike White, this injury happens again, much like it happened last year to him against the Colts. And now Zach Wilson gets to come in and play and hopefully keep his team on track to get to the playoffs. So I'm just saying that this is his moment, and he's got to make the most of his moment.
Okay. Here's all I'll say. I will keep the Wilson slander to a minimum. This is not the Lions defense that the stats tell you it is. This defense has gotten a lot better. They fired Aubrey Pleasant, who was their secondary coach. They've gotten a lot better. They're a lot better up front. If Zach Wilson plays well, I will actually tip my cap. But I'm at the end of my rope with that kid.
I'm just saying right now for him, this is the ultimate pressure point.
Okay.
And this is his career, and he's got to go grab it right now if he wants it.
What a dramatic ending to a holiday episode. A man playing in pain. That is Kickoff with Boomer and Valenti. We're back at you next week.